Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Geek Addicts, the pop culture podcast. It's been a year, everybody. I'm Bill, and this is Matt. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. It's definitely a milestone. I'm excited about it for sure.
I can't believe it's been a year. It doesn't feel like it's been a year. That's the weird part about it.
It doesn't. I guess you could say. Well, I'm not really trying to remember when we actually recorded the first episode because it might have been a year, but we do also have a decent amount recorded in advance, so it might not quite be there yet. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, at the time this comes out, it definitely will be a year. But
Yeah, for sure.
see, it's weird to me because I don't even realize half the time we're over 50 episodes for this show. Because 3DO took forever. I mean, granted, there was two major hiatuses during 3DO, but
Mhm.
3DO felt like it took forever to get to 50 episodes. Granted, we also 3DO is recorded on a weekly basis, and we don't have episodes packed away in case of emergency with that show.
Yeah.
Hence why at the time of this recording, the previous episode we did was a complete chaos fest because I had to throw it together at the last minute.
Mhm.
Um, for anyone wondering, that's 3DO episode 60. It was a barrel of laughs. That's all
I
I'll say.
enjoyed it immensely.
Oh, it was a great time. It was chaos.
It's nice to hear Chris behind the mic again.
It was good. He's coming back, so he says. So
Hmm.
hopefully more in the future. Um,
I hope so.
yeah, the best part about that was initially it was just going to be Nave filling in for Thrak, and then Aaron said he might be able to join. So I was like, cool, I'll have Aaron and Nave. This will be fun. It'll be chaos. And then
Mhm.
Aaron just all of a sudden is like, you should invite Chris. And I was like, is he? I was like, sure, why not? So I was like, I didn't know if he was available or not. So I just sent him
Mhm.
a message asking, and he immediately was like, yeah, sure, I might be able to do it at this time. And I was like, okay, let me see if that time works for everybody. And I was going all over the place, and then I finally got it. It ended up working perfectly for the episode, and it was a great chat. We talked about nonsense for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, it was like right on the cusp of that cutoff.
Yeah, I think with the intro and outro, it ended up being exactly 2 hours, but it was a good time, a good fill. Ironically, for a filler episode, I think it was one of the funnest 3DO episodes I've done.
Hmm.
The least 3DO themed, but it was definitely an experience. But enough about 3DO. This is Geek Addicts. Um,
I will say, before we move on entirely, I've been liking how impressed everybody's been about your memory banner for at the end of every episode.
yeah, the the banner that I use so I don't sound like an idiot and forget a show. Sorry,
Which you
sorry,
gotta you
Tommy.
gotta add a new one to that one.
It's already been done.
All right, because as of at least it was announced today that we have a new show on the network.
Yeah, Nomad's joining us from retro wildlands, so that'll be cool. Be
Whole
cool to
lot of
see it.
retro on the
Yeah,
Superpod network.
we're also doing we're doing Spooktober right now over on Superpod with a whole bunch of fun spooky themed blogs. Um, the one I wrote just came out talking about Illbleed, one of the most unhinged horror games I've ever experienced.
That's fun. I still gotta write mine up. I'll probably do it tomorrow. I mean, by the time this comes out, it'll already be there. But
Yeah. Well, yeah. By the time this comes out, Spooktober's probably gonna be over. But
yeah, by the time this comes out, Thanksgiving will be right over the horizon. So
I don't like the fact that the year's almost over.
yeah, I'm definitely getting that that year end anxiety. I don't know if anybody else feels that, but I always get like this weird. Maybe it's just a thing with being a parent. You get that anxiety, like, oh shit, like I got all this preparation for Christmas and shit I gotta do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it
It's
doesn't help
been.
that one of my kids has a November birthday, so I got to do a birthday and then Christmas. The birthday, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. So yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. I got to
That
start
last
saving.
quarter.
I got to start saving up for Christmas because I got to find. I got to think about what to get my family for Christmas, but also I just got to plan ahead because I have no idea what the world's going to be like in December. So
Yeah, no kidding.
we'll have to wait and see on that. I don't like the fact that it's getting cold. That's not fun.
Yeah, the mornings have been rough this past like week or two. It's just I don't know. Like I knew it was gonna start getting cold, but like I wasn't prepared for it at all. and we still have a lot of work to get. Like we got to do a bunch of wood splitting and stuff. I mean, we have about 2 cords cut right now, and we're getting a free cord uh, at some point in the next week or two. So that's good. So
Hmm.
I mean, that's most of what we're gonna need. We might need like one more, but
Yeah.
we have a wood stove in our house. So
Hmm.
to anyone who's confused what I'm talking about, I'm talking about wood.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely cheaper than what I have to pay because I got central heat. So
Yeah, as Uncle Brad likes to say, we got to cheat the oil man as much as we can.
yeah, pretty much. This has been one of those weeks though. I spent the first Monday just throwing up in a toilet all day because I got food poisoning. That's fun.
That's rough. What was it? What gave it to you?
No idea.
Just just oh.
Something
Usually
I
usually
had.
people have like some sort of an idea of like what it was.
No, I have no idea. At first, I thought it was the pizza me and Alex had, but Alex was fine, so I don't think it was that. And we got the same exact thing. It might have been something I got at the grocery store. I don't know. First, I thought I had a stomach bug, but no one I was around was sick, so I'm assuming it was food poisoning. Either way, I spent all of Monday. I had to call out of work because I was unable to function for half the day. That was wonderful.
That's fair. I don't think I've ever actually had food poisoning. It was one time when I thought I had it, but it turned out to be a stomach bug. And the only reason I know that is because, unbeknownst to me, the whole time that I was, having my issues, my mom was upstairs having the same issues, and I found out later on. This
Yeah,
is years and years ago, though.
nothing was worse than like back in the day when there was like a recurring like when you'd get those recurring stomach bugs that would go around. Like I still remember this was way back in like I think high school, yeah, early high school, like sophomore year. Uh, Alex got a stomach bug and it was really bad. And then
Mhm.
it went to me, and then it went to my dad, and then it went to my mom. It went through the
Mhm.
entire family, and it was not pleasant at all. Like it was some of the worst. That was probably the worst I've ever felt. I think
Yeah, it's
ever,
the rough thing about
honestly.
living in a family household is anytime anybody gets sick, you just have to expect that it's going to make its rounds.
That was like the worst. Like not to be too graphic, but it's really bad when you're on the toilet and then you have your bowl in front of you because you can't get up. I'm not
Yep.
going to say any more than that, but you can get the idea. It was
Yeah.
not fun.
Yeah, I feel that.
That was literally the worst. Like that was probably the worst I've ever had. But yeah, not
You
the best way
squeezing
to.
any? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say not the best way to start the week.
Yeah.
I did finish. I finished 2 shows this week, so 2 more added
Nice.
to the list.
Nice.
Gonna finish another one tonight because the final episode of the dub comes out. For
Oh, slime.
yeah, Slime's final dubbed episode comes out. I'm looking forward to
Cool.
that. Then I get to decide what to watch next. So find that out pretty soon.
I I watched the 3 movies that you guys covered in the last 3 anime films this week. One of which I'd already seen, but the other 2 were new. Really liked Suzume. It was very good.
Suzume, I am like in this weird internal battle right now where I'm not sure if I like Suzume more than your name at this point. Like I like
It's honestly tough.
your name is so good, but Suzume was so good too. We might have to cover Suzume on the pod at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we'll have to I'll have to try to get Cindy to watch it first, and then she could join us because she would have loved to be on the Your Name episode
hmm.
because she loved that movie.
Yeah, I bet she'll love Suzume too because Suzume. I think your name has a great story, but I think Suzume just as an overall experience might be better.
Hmm. Um,
I love the main character, the titular Suzume. She was so likable.
yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. Like, at least I mean, at this point, I've only seen 2 of Shinkai's movies, but just based on that compared to the Ghibli movies I've seen, um, I just feel like his movies are much more like they're just as fantastical in a lot of ways, but they're much easier to understand and follow along with than say a Spirited Away um or a Boy in the Heron, you know?
Boy and the Heron, I won't lie, I wasn't super huge into.
I wasn't crazy, but it's definitely a visual spectacle.
It is, but I like Suzume better. I thought Suzume looked
No,
better.
I agree in a lot of ways, but I don't know that first scene where the kid's running through the fire, like that is just animated so
It
fucking well.
it was my whole thing. The thing with Boy and the Heron, I think this is just something that it's kind of ingrained into me that like the reason why I inherently wasn't really huge on it. I just thought The Wind Rises was like the perfect ending to his career.
That's fair. I still haven't seen that one yet, so I'm still very behind on the Ghibli films.
Yeah. The reason why I'm so attached to Wind Rises is just like that's one of the rare movies I watched where like I still think about it to this day. Like it left such an impact that I actually think about the world differently now after watching it at times.
Hmm. Which actually, speaking of Ghibli, the the studio itself, um, I did a little bit of research because my wife and I had another conversation trying to figure it out. I did a little research and I figured out the way that you're supposed to say it because I know that's always one of those big like back and forth. I say both ways. I've been doing it like for the longest time.
Mhm.
So, um, the actual Japanese characters or what kanji, I believe, that make up the words
Mhm.
for like Studio Ghibli or Ghibli.
Yep.
Uh, wait, when you go specifically the kanji that make up the word, the closest would be Ghibli, but it's based on an Italian word, which is why you're supposed to say Ghibli. So technically, both ways are correct, but Ghibli is the way you're supposed to say it.
Mm. That's interesting.
So I found that interesting. Um,
Yeah. What'd you
but
think
yeah,
of
I watched.
What'd you
Hmm?
think of Drifting Home?
I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Suzume. Um,
Same. Honestly, I still liked it more than Boy and the Heron, though.
yeah, see, it was I don't know, like drifting home. It just had like an interesting vibe. Um, I liked the characters a lot. I thought it interesting that it was the only one out of these three that like had a lot of like big name anime voice actors.
Yeah, because Suzume was like almost entirely actual like big name actors. Same with Boy and the
Boy and the
Heron.
Heron. That seems to be just a consistent thing with Ghibli films in general, though. Like it's
True.
always like Mark Hamill or Christian Bale or
Is it the funniest part about the friggin' Boy and the Heron was the whole fact that we kept referring to the Heron as Robert.
I enjoyed that part of your your episode on it. Which is funny because I feel like I knew that Robert Pattinson played the Heron, but like until somebody says it, I would never have guessed that that was him.
I've gained such a respect for him as an actor over the years. Like his Batman portrayal was phenomenal, but his performance in Boy and the Heron was great.
I haven't seen him in Batman, so I can't judge on that. But
He's a very good
uh,
Batman. That's all I'll say.
I have seen him in some. I mean, obviously, like I haven't actually sat down and watched Twilight. I have seen bits and pieces of it, just from osmosis. And then obviously I saw him in Harry Potter 4. So like that was kind of like what I knew him as for the longest time. But I have seen him in a few other things since. It was a movie that he did a few years back with Will Dafoe called The Lighthouse. That is a fucking weird movie. But
Yeah.
his performance is great in it. And actually both of them, but it was pretty much just the two of them the whole movie. Because they was just like they were both manning a lighthouse and it was like, ye olden days. Uh and it was a very bizarre movie. I will say that. Like if you ever go and watch it, whether you know what you're watching or not, like you're gonna come out of it being like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" But the performances were fantastic.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's just one of those weird things where, yeah, I definitely think that I have gained respect for him as an actor. I think the the twinkle twinkle sparkle sparkle reputation is starting to go away.
Yeah, I mean because he's proven that he can act, which
Yeah,
I give him a lot
which
of
good for
credit
him.
for.
Good for him.
Uh,
Uh,
Actually, kind of funny. There was two Batmen in Boy and the Heron. Now that I think about it.
oh yeah, because Christian Bale was in it too, wasn't he?
Yep.
That's
So
wild.
there's been 3 Batmen in the Ghibli films because Michael Keaton was in Porca Rossa.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he's the main character actually.
Oh, that's fun.
There's a scene with him and Tom Kenny, and it is one of the funniest scenes in that movie because it's just SpongeBob. It's great. It's like serious SpongeBob. It is one of the funniest things in that movie.
That's silly as shit. So yeah, there was the other thing that after I watched those movies, I kind of just wanted to watch something more casual. Like I almost just rewatched something, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm actually gonna like try to watch something new, but I'm gonna do something that I know isn't super serious. So I watched Hitalia. Have you ever seen
Oh
Hitalia?
yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
tell you, Axis powers.
Yep. That is like you
that
talk
sh-
about a chaotic series.
that
Like,
show, if it wasn't anime, would be so fucking problematic these days.
oh yeah. And I will say I'll give it credit. This is the only like anime dub I've ever seen that had the balls to do like extremely racist Asian accents.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? In the Japanese, I'm pretty sure they're just as like racist to everyone else, so it kind of you can get away with it.
Oh yeah. I mean I feel like any dub, whether it's the original Japanese, the English, or any other language, I feel like they kind of have to go out of their way to do whatever that language is equivalent for the accents for each
I,
country would be.
you see, I think Hitalia gets away with it just because of the fact that everybody gets like fucking like the short end of the stick in that show.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Just some of the characters just fucking tickle me. It's
Well,
so funny.
for people who don't know, Hitalia is essentially it's like all the continents are like anime characters, and it's like it's
Yeah,
nonsense.
every country is personified as a super over the top portrayal of what that country is, and they are their own characters. And which is really funny too because it is a super comedy heavy series, but there's actually a lot of real life history that's thrown in
Oh yeah,
there. I've actually learned a lot watching it.
it's a very
Believe it or not.
it's a compelling show that like is really if you're not okay with like some of like the show is very extreme. That's what I will say. Um, at times, but if you can get past that, it is hilarious. Like
Oh,
really
for
entertaining.
sure. I definitely recommend it. If somebody just wants something goofy and silly that you don't have to care about, definitely
It
watch. It's worth it. And it's
it's
only
one of
the episodes are only 5 minutes long.
oh yeah, it's literally a concept that could only work in anime,
For
and
sure.
it does it very well, almost too well at times. And it's Funimation did it right.
I think so. I mean, it's a lot of Funimation actors.
Yeah, I think it's funny to the dub because like there is so many iconic actors in there.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, Eric Vale plays America, and
Yep.
trying to think, um, Todd Haberkorn, I believe, plays Italy.
Yep.
Patrick Sates is Germany. Yeah, and they like hit like a lot of the countries that you forget exist
Oh
too.
yeah.
So it's not
It
just
is
like the main ones; they cover like everybody.
I need to watch that now because I've only ever seen clips. I might have to go through like a full through.
It's
Watch
all
it
on
some.
it's all on Crunchyroll. And like when you look at the episode count, it's overwhelming. But then you got to remember that each episode is only 5 minutes long, and that if you skip the song at the end, it's like more like 3.5 to 4 minutes. So it's
Yeah.
like realistically, like you have to watch 4 or 5 of those for it to be the equivalent of one episode of a regular anime. So
Hmm.
it's not too bad.
Um, I think for shows I watched this week, I watched a show called Real Life, which I was in like the mood for like a goofy slice of life again. So I was kind of browsing through Crunchyroll and I had found it there. And this is a pretty old one because it's one of the ones that like when you watch it on Crunchyroll, it still plays the Funimation opening
Mhm.
every time. Real Life is fun because it's the whole concept is it's essentially an adult in Japan. He was a former salaryman and then he quit his job and became a NEET. Uh, and he was basically he ruined his life and was basically he was in a dead end like downward spiral
Mhm.
and to the point where he's pretending to have a job so he can go drink with his friends in one of those situations.
All
And
right.
then he gets approached by this man from the Real Life Corporation, and their whole thing is they have this drug that you take this pill, and it gives you the appearance of a younger, like a teenager. And the whole gimmick is like essentially they give you the pill, and then you get to join this program called the Relife program. And essentially, you get to re-go through the final year of high school, and basically it's to reacclimate them to society and basically fix all their problems why they became a neat.
Mhm.
And essentially like the he it was just kind of a goofy show where he ends up going through it, and like he ends up going through high school, and it kind of like by the end goal is like he gets a opportunity, he gets a bunch of odd job opportunities, and basically he can fix his life.
Mhm.
It's very wacky anime stuff, but like they play with some funny ideas, like the whole fact like they're doing like high school gym, and like he's like, I'm gonna show these kids what I'm made of, and then he like throws like a ball, and he like throws out his back because the
Mhm.
drug makes him look younger, but he's still like an adult kind of thing.
That's funny.
It was an entertaining watch. It was only 13 episodes plus 4 OVAs to finish the story. Um, so it's a decent watch. I finished it in like 3 days, but yeah, that one was fun.
Nice. That's cool.
Um,
Yeah.
other than
Aside
that,
from that, I've just been filling in my time reading Yu-Gi-Oh, which has
nice.
been pretty cool.
I gotta get on that. I've been this has been one of those weeks where like aside from like the couple animes I watched, I was not motivated to do anything.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, that
thankfully we
one's
got a
good too because early on, like it's mostly kind of like quote unquote monster of the week
yeah.
at the beginning, so it's easy to kind of just like pick up, read a few chapters, and put down.
Hmm, no, that's understandable. Um, honestly, it was kind of like I think writing because I got that blog. I wrote that blog this week. I think that took up a good
Mhm.
amount of my time. I think it was just because like we have I took a half day at work today because we're going into a for some people we're going into a long weekend.
Mhm.
Because I have Columbus, Indigenous, whatever the hell it's called these days. Um, I've got Monday off, so wanted a nice long weekend to recharge, and I'll probably try to get a few more shows done this weekend.
Nice. There you go. Ooh,
Uh,
Daima came out today.
oh, did it?
Yes, I watched it.
Prob-
I watched the first episode.
Probably gonna wait on the dub for that, but
You should only be waiting like 2 or 3 weeks at most, because I know they're playing the first 3 episodes in theaters on like November 10th or 11th, something like that.
nice,
So that's probably when they're going to be releasing it, and then probably like that weekend or maybe the following weekend they'll put them on Crunchyroll or something.
nice. Oh, did you
But
see Oshinoko's ending in 4 chapters?
yeah, I was actually I almost texted you about that the other day, or when I saw that. I think it was actually earlier today. But I couldn't remember if you had already said that or not, so I just left it as is.
Somebody in Nave's server mentioned in this. I reacted to it, so that might have been what you were thinking of.
I can't believe that though. I feel like that's still relatively new.
It's been 4 years since it started, believe it or not.
Wow. And
Um,
to my knowledge, at least on because I was looking around on Kindle because I've been reading Berserk on Kindle, so um I was just looking around and from what I saw, only like the first 7 volumes of Oshinoko are available on Kindle.
yeah, we've only officially gotten up to volume 7 so far out of like
How many how many are
15,
there?
15, I think.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
because I was thinking once I catch up on Berserk, I might just start getting those.
yeah, it's not bad. Like the art style is beautiful. Like I love the. I think that's partially the reason why. Because my theory, I don't have any confirmation on this, but my theory is I think Aka's over it at this point. Like he's had his fun with it and he wants it to be done. But I think
Mhm.
he's been keeping it going for the artist because the artist is like, I think more into it than he is at this point.
Yeah.
Because in the time he's been writing Oshinoko, he's done a third series already. Like that's already over.
Oh wow.
Which is also in the Kaguya universe. So that's fun. That one hasn't even come out over here yet though. So we'll wait
I'm
and
sure
see.
it will eventually.
I mean, it's so easy for him to just plow through these things because he doesn't draw. He doesn't like draw anymore. He just has other artists now.
Mhm.
But
That's
yeah,
good.
that
Yeah,
one.
I like what he's done so far. So, between Oshinoko and Kaguya-sama, I definitely like his work.
He's got a very unique writing style, I will say that. Um, but yeah, it's been a week. Still
That's for sure.
plugging along, but I
Mhm.
guess we should get into our topic for topic. We're celebrating our 1 year anniversary, and we had reached out on a couple sources for some questions to do a Q&A of sorts. I reached out on Twitter, got no one on Twitter. Not really surprised. We don't have an official Geek Addicts Twitter account, so like I kind of did it via the GNC one, and it kind of got buried.
Mhm.
Um, that's fine. It's not a big deal. That being said, I sent a couple out into our personal server, the GNC Podcast Network server, and the Podcast Studio server, and our the SuperPod network. And I figured let's start with the GNC server first. So, first question. I guess I'll read them off, and we'll just answer them as we go.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, first question is from our buddy Snickerman, longtime fan of GNC, Geek Addicts, everything. He asked, "How much time do you spend on gaming and watching shows in an average week?"
All right. Do you wanna hit that one first, or?
Yeah, I can hit it first because it's it's kind of unremarkable. Because I work 10 hours a day and I have a pretty regular workout schedule. My show and my gaming, so essentially, I kind of cycle through what my niche interest is on a given week. Currently, because of the end of the year recap, I'm in an anime mood right now, so I've been kind of just focusing solely on anime. But occasionally, I'll go through gaming, and when I'm in a gaming mood, I will spend the like 4 to 5 hours of free time I have every day gaming or watching shows or reading manga, books, comics, stuff like that. It's basically depends on what my niche interest is on a given week. Like if I'm in a manga reading mood, I'll be reading manga. If I'm playing games, I'm playing games. Shows. It's a lot of things like that. For the most part, weekdays I usually have at least like 4 hours a day of free time. Um, Weekends it's different. I can
Mhm.
depending on what's going on, I can spend either an entire day or like a couple hours a day, portions of days. But yeah, it's kind of around there.
For me, video games are incredibly limited, much to my displeasure. And that is being to the fact that a lot of the games that I tend to like to play require a decent amount of attention, and attention is not something I can really spare. Yeah,
Yeah,
my daughter is in her almost out of her terrible twos, but I don't think that's gonna just stop when she turns 3 in a month. But she's a very rambunctious child, so I like literally can't turn my back on her. Uh, she is really good at zoning in on the one thing she's not supposed to mess with that could be potentially dangerous. So I kind of
yeah,
have to be aware with her. But if it's a week where, so I mean, I generally, whether I'm playing something casually, like lately I've been playing not Capsule, Dungeon Dice Monsters on the GBA, because that's something I could just play and then put down or whatever. Um, so like throughout the week, I might be able to squeeze in 4 hours, 5 hours total. Um, but if it's a weekend when my mom takes her, because mom generally takes her every other weekend, I usually get my gaming in during that time. So not as much as I would like, but I try to make as much time as possible.
yeah,
As far as watching shows go, I'm fortunate enough to have the kind of job and the kind of boss that doesn't care if I have stuff playing on my phone while I'm working, as long as I'm working. So I generally am watching shows or movies or whatever throughout my entire workday. So that's probably one of the only reasons I'm actually able to keep up with stuff enough to be able to cover things regularly on the show. Um, but yeah, there's that. One thing I'm able to do a lot more consistently is read. Like I have the kind of brain where I can just read a page or two and put it down, and like that doesn't mess with my experience with the book or manga or comic or whatever I'm reading. I can't do that with video games. I need to like pay, like, get into it when I'm playing a game. But
So fun fact, Cindy is messaging me on Facebook Messenger right now.
she
Giving me
probably just thought of questions.
Yeah.
I told her to message you because I didn't want to know what she was asking.
Okay, I'm just gonna respond back to her real quick.
But yeah, that's essentially it. So ultimately, because I mean, obviously, like I'm not just sitting down watching stuff the whole time, so I have to get up and do stuff here and there. But I mean, I probably get a good 4 or 5 hours of whatever show or movie a day at work, and then whatever I watch at home.
Yeah, it's tough. I will say handheld gaming is like one of the best ways for me to actually game on like a weekly basis because I can multitask and like put like a show on in the background when I play, say, Persona 4. I can grind while I watch a show.
Yeah, mobile gaming is like the only reason I'm able to like get in the little bit of gaming I can do when my kids are home. I mean, Xander's whatever. Like he's 12. He's been I kind of made him a gamer. Sorry, Cindy. So
I mean,
like, gaming around him is no big deal.
it's just kind of a part of life now, the way
Mhm.
gamers are.
Yeah. When she gets a little bit older and I can say, "Hey, stop fucking with that," and she can like, comprehend and listen and understand consequences, then my time for gaming will improve. But as of right now, it's very limited.
And then he had a second question, which is mostly for you because I'll read it. Best RPG of all time for Matt. Unless Bill changed his, I have not changed mine. It's still Persona 4 Gold. But Matt,
I
what
don't
is the best RPG of all time in your opinion?
I don't think that'll ever change for you, Bill. I think at this point it's pretty
No.
set in stone. Um, well, it depends. Like what kind of RPG are we talking? Action RPG, JRPG? I
I'm
mean, I'm
assuming he means just RPG in general.
all right. Well, I'll throw out one or two for each. So the two action RPGs that I always tend to return to is Fable 2, obviously. I've
Mhm.
mentioned it many times. That's my favorite video game of all time. Um, The Witcher 3 is a fantastic game overall. That's probably the best made action RPG I've ever played, and the most immersive experience. Then obviously the Legacy of Goku series.
Mhm.
Uh, as far as JRPGs go, I'm still really new in the world of JRPGs, with the exception of Pokemon, and I don't think I would put Pokemon on that because as much as I have all that nostalgia for Pokemon, and I've played so much Pokemon over my lifetime. Like they're just at this point where I've experienced different games. Um, I recognize that they are not the most well thought out when it comes to a gaming experience.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, my out there choice would be Dragon Ball Fusions because that's just a really interesting game. It just it's very addicting gameplay. It's not your average turn-based RPG.
Mhm.
Um, but other than that, I'd say probably Dragon Quest 3 or uh, I don't want to say Final Fantasy 7, but I did really enjoy that. And I can at least say that without nostalgia attached because I just played it for the
True.
first time 3 years ago.
You
So
still
I
haven't
can.
played you still haven't played 9 though, so I'm curious what your thoughts will be after you play 9.
No, I haven't played that one yet. It's on my list. I will definitely get to it. I mean, eventually I'm going to play all the Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy games. I actually just started Dragon Quest 6 recently, so
Mm. The,
working
the
my way through them.
the Final Fantasies I'm most curious for you to experience are 4, 6, and 9. Those are very good games.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
guess I
I'm looking
can
forward
add
to it.
I guess I can add a little. I mean, obviously, Persona 4 Golden's favorite RPG of all time. That just never favorite game of all time. It's just one of those things.
Mhm.
I guess if I'm gonna get specific with types of RPGs. If I was gonna say an action RPG, it's a bit of a stretch, but Tales of the Abyss, kind of actiony. It's like a weird hybrid of action and turn based, but Tales of the Abyss definitely for action. Um, if I was gonna say tactical strategy, Fire Emblem Three Houses by far. I
Hmm.
love that game. Um,
Oh, I didn't even consider tactical RPGs. Shit.
yeah, I mean they're like the only other major RPGs I really play a lot of. And yeah, by far, Fire Emblem Three Houses is like one of the best games I think I've ever played.
That's fair. I like Yu Yu Hakusho Tournament Tactics. 'Cause I have messed around with a couple other tactics games, but and that one is simple enough. Well, like it's not like overly complicated or overly bogged down with like tons of different mechanics. So that's part of the reason I like that one. So
Nice. Um, so I think before I get to Cindy's question, I'll finish the other ones in the GNC server. Um,
yeah.
so friend of the show, Rick, he asks, "What is one thing you've been dying to cover on the show but haven't?" I know. Well, I know for you, it's actually what do you want to answer? Or?
Yeah, well, I'll go first. There's a few things, honestly. And a lot of the reasons why we haven't done them is because of time constraints for either you or me, depending on the subject. Um, One of them is I really want to kind of expand on covering adaptations of stuff. Like I know we've kind of touched on live action anime stuff, which I would like to do more of. Hopefully, we'll be doing more of those in the near future. Um, but I would like to expand that out to cover more things like video game adaptations, novel adaptations, stuff like that. I'd love to cover some Stephen King stuff. A while ago, you and I had talked about doing an episode on the 90s adaptation of The Stand. Um, and that's something I still really want to do.
That I
Um,
think we should save for next year when things clear up and I'll hopefully have time because I
mhm.
feel like we'll be able to get to that one. I know you want to do Lord of the Rings. Unfortunately, I am like the worst person to have for a Lord of the Rings. That's probably going to have to be one where you're going to have to find somebody to like fill in.
Yeah,
Um,
well, maybe once Chris gets his show back up and going, maybe the next time Middle Earth March rolls around, I'll try to get on his show.
yeah, that's like it's like the one fandom I've just never been able to. I've tried and it just doesn't do it for me. It's one of those hard ones. Like everyone
Yeah,
has those things they're popular, but other I think everyone has that one thing that's really popular, but you just can't get into it for whatever reason.
that's fair. I mean, everybody has something like that. Like when I was a kid, I could not for the life of me get into Transformers or Power Rangers, and I knew so many kids who were super obsessed with them, and I could never do it. I For some reason it just never clicked with me. I don't know why.
Yeah, that actually would be a fun topic, but if you're not into it, then I'm not going to force that. But
Well, I mean, I'm not that worried about it.
yeah, no,
It's
it's
not
fair.
like it's not like what were you gonna say? Like the Michael Bay movies or
No, I meant more Power Rangers.
oh Power Rangers? Oh well, I mean I wouldn't be
to,
opposed to it.
to be fair, that's a lot to watch, and it hasn't aged well. Um,
Fair.
I say this as a fan who still finds it entertaining, like in that kind of hilarious way.
I mean,
But
maybe I would like it more now. It's just as a kid, it just didn't hold my attention.
hmm,
Maybe like
that's
now, like understanding like the story, like how Power Rangers came to be, especially over here, and like understanding like cultural differences with shows and stuff in a way that I didn't as a kid. Like, because I feel like one of the reasons why Power Rangers like seemed so weird and jarring to me is because like subconsciously I was catching on to the fact that the people behind the masks were different than the people without masks.
well, how like the Yellow Ranger's a dude most of the time when it's in the costume.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, to anyone who doesn't know, I'm sure anyone listening to this probably already does, but um, Power Rangers was originally a Japanese series called Super Sentai, and they left all of the stuff while they were in costume pretty much as is, and just reshot everything with them
Well,
not in costume.
it's actually kind of more interesting than that. Like it's not really the same show. Like Super Sentai and like Power Rangers are very different plot wise. Basically, the way it is essentially they took the Japanese like the monster and actual like costume scenes, like you said, and they left that mostly the same. But then they created entirely original plots around everything else with like the non like suited sections.
Hmm.
Um, which is why it's such a weird, interesting cut. It's a very interesting way to localize something.
Hmm.
Um, it actually really fascinatingly, there one of the seasons in the '90s, Turbo Power Rangers Turbo. That season is infamously not liked by the fandom because it's kind of bizarre. The reality of the reason why it's so weird is because they actually they didn't have the Sentai season that they chose was actually a parody season called like Car Ranger, which was
Hmm.
essentially it was deliberately designed to be stupid because it was supposed to be a parody of Super Sentai, but then
Okay.
Power Rangers adapted it seriously. Like that actually that happened quite a bit where the US adaptation was a significantly different from the Japanese because Power Rangers in Space, which is considered one of the best seasons of Power Rangers, it was essentially they made it in America, they made it like a space opera, kind of like Star Trek.
Hmm.
But in Japan, it was like more based on like cyberspace and going into computers and shit. Like the space aspect wasn't really that big.
Yeah.
So it was just a weird, like, hey, it's funny how they just change things on the fly like that.
Yeah. But I mean, I'd be willing to give it a shot nowadays if we were gonna do an episode on it or something. Like maybe like not like an entire series, maybe
No,
like a story arc or something.
I
Just
wouldn't
to start out at least. But
I wouldn't subject you to that because it's entertaining if you have nostalgia for it, but my god, the acting is so fucking bad. It's not even funny.
hmm. um, the other thing, another thing that I would like to do, which might end up having to be a separate podcast on its own, but I'd love to do like more like chapter by chapter book reviews, like that kind of thing. Because I've been wanting to do one for the Witcher book series for a long time because it's one that I feel like doesn't get a whole lot of attention. Like most people focus on the video games and the series, but there's like so much in the books that I don't know. I feel like it's worth talking about. So at some point, I'd like to do that. I know that you have limited time as it is for what you're already doing, and when, so I'm not going to ask you to try and do like novel stuff, but
Yeah.
that's
No, that's
something
a
I'd have to try and find somebody else for.
yeah.
No offense to you.
No worries. I just have no time to read. I barely
Yeah.
have enough time to read manga.
And that's a much easier read.
Yeah. So and then he had a second part of the question for me specifically. How in the world do you balance doing so many podcasts, working, exercising, etc.? Um, to answer it simply, I barely do. It is a struggle, but it's worth it in the end. Like so, I guess to preface, like work and exercise, that is a set routine. I just have that dialed in at this point. The podcasts, it's a little harder. Um, in the case of say GNC and this show, our format is so loose. Like the shows are essentially like hit play and go, not a ton of editing, if any at all. Um, it's not super hard to do the actual recordings. Like there's not a whole ton that goes into the pre-recording. Like for this show, like the most we'll have either I have to watch a movie or read a book or something, a manga. Like it's nothing too crazy. GNC, it's about the same. Like a lot of the times it's I'll have to watch a show or play a game briefly or something. Nothing too major. 3DO is a bit more challenging just because like that is a much more centralized, like topic driven show. So I actually have to play the games that we're talking about and I have to do a bit more research into. And that is honestly the one show a week that I think I put the most time behind the scenes on just because of the nature of what it is. That
Mhm.
being said though, I use podcasting as my form of kind of like the reason I do three shows is because I enjoy doing it. And it's kind of one of the few like fun interactions I get to have. Like it's how I keep in touch with Matt. It's how I keep in
Mhm.
touch with Alex on like the weekly. And then 3DO is my weird passion project in the background that has honestly become its own standalone thing at this point because now Thrak is just as much a part of that show as I am, which is why I I I don't want to pick a favorite podcast out of the three I do because I like all three of them equally, and it's not fair to signal one over the other. But yeah,
I wouldn't hold it against you if you said that you were the most proud of 3DO because you've taken that, especially with the beginnings that you had with it, where you kind of started out just doing it on your own, and then when Thrak joined up, you guys kind of just took it and put your own kind of flavor into it. So I could definitely understand you being specifically proud of that one.
I mean, I'm proud of it. Like I'm not saying I'm not proud of it. I just don't want to signal it as like I hold it higher than the other shows I do because I mean the success of 3DO that 3DO is getting right now is a little overwhelming at times, and I'm surprised it's taken off the way it has. But at the same time, like GNC, me and Alex have been doing that for almost 5 years now, um, which is insane in its own right. I mean, hell, we're going to be 200 episodes by the end of the year. But I mean,
Mhm.
even this show, like this show, I mean, we're at a year now doing this one, over 50 episodes. Like it's crazy just how fast we've built these three shows up. Like I'm getting close to it's gonna be like I've done over 300 episodes, like with all three shows combined pretty soon.
And that's just for your shows. That's not counting all the guest appearances you've made on other shows.
Oh yeah. And I mean like hell, like even now, like it's even crazier than just the three shows because like I'm doing the stuff on the Superpod network now, which I love doing because like I love the group that we've like accumulated over there. Like I love the whole like it's really a family at this point now, like how in touch everyone is with each other and how like we do like these group projects like I imagine like if the network didn't exist like say and I had like say the last 3DO episode we recorded like it was really nice to have like these group of other podcasters on hand that were perfectly willing to jump in and do me a solid there when I needed to get an episode out
Mhm.
like so I guess to answer your question Rick it's a struggle but it's worth the struggle in the end and I think the big concern with doing this much is burnout. But to me, like I use the podcast as a way to unwind. And I think that's kind of how I avoid getting burnt out. Because I mean, with all the stress I have to deal with on a daily from work and just life in general, I do enjoy the social interaction and conversation. So it's a bit of a long-winded way of saying it, but I hope that answers your question. I because even now I'm still not really sure how I do it. I kind of I get by.
And I'm sure a part of it too is because after you moved out of state, out of your original home state, um, you I'm sure a lot of your old friends from your old stomping grounds. It's hard to keep in touch with them and stuff. So and then moving to another state and trying to make new friends and everything, it's difficult. So
No,
it's
it is.
I can imagine it being nice to have a core group of people where it doesn't matter how far you are, you guys have that connection through podcasting and blogging and stuff. So I imagine that aspect of it, that social interaction, is also a big help as what
Oh,
equal to or greater than the amount of work that goes into it.
oh yeah. Like when I started when I started GNC, like in early 2021, I had no idea that like 3 years later I'd actually be meeting like other podcasters in real life. Like never in years did I think I would meet like Josh from Still Loading Podcast. Like that is still like the fact I always considered him a friend, but now he's like now that we've met in person, like I consider him like one of like a true friend that I know like just in life. Like if I ever need to like reach out to someone, I can reach out to Josh because like I feel like we know each other well enough that like he'd give me a good answer on something if like I needed like advice or something. And I mean,
Mm.
I'm not saying the people I haven't met in real life aren't on the same thing. It's just it's an interesting way, like you form these connections that just like kind of live on forever. Like even Schnickerman, I've met Schnickerman in real life, and I've known him since we first started talking in 2019 on Instagram, and it's like it's just crazy. Like I find it really funny. Back in the day, we were raised with that whole like you never trust any, like don't befriend anyone on the internet, like don't ever meet people that you meet on the internet in real life, like stuff like that.
Mhm.
And now it's just how crazy the world has flipped since then.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's kind of the best way I can answer it. It's a little long winded, but yeah.
I mean, it's not
Um,
necessarily an easy question to answer, so.
no, well, it's a question that I don't really have an answer for because it's kind of like I'm not really sure how I do it. I just kind of do. And I'm going to be doing
Yeah.
a fourth podcast pretty soon, although I don't have to edit, or I just have to show up for that one. So that'll be a little bit easier. But
Mhm.
TBD on that one for the time being. Um, Alex posted a laughing gif of Plankton. We'll get to her. We'll get to her um, later. And the final question on the GNC server is from another Bill from the podcast A Gamer Looks at 40. He asked, how do you feel you've grown as a show in the past year? Um,
Um,
you want to go first, or
yeah, I'll hit it first. I definitely feel like when we started out, we were. I mean, at this point, when we started out, you had already had a pretty good handle on how podcasting goes. Like, you've already pretty much found your voice as a podcaster. I still consider myself a newbie. I still have trouble like thinking about the term content creator and attaching my name to that because it just doesn't feel right. You know, I don't know. Never really thought of myself that way, and it's weird that you could see me in that way. I will say it. I've never exactly been very good at public speaking, and this is kind of like this is kind of like a little bit of like a 50-50 of public speaking. Like it is, but it also isn't because it's more like I'm talking directly to you and just everybody else kind of has an ear in on it. Um, I feel like when we started out, I tried really hard to maybe try to make myself seem smarter than I am, if that makes sense. Um, and just the more we've gone along, I've just kind of gotten used to more being myself and just kind of letting myself go on my tangents and just kind of be more natural. And I think that's kind of the main thing with it is to just kind of be natural.
yeah, like it's interesting because like I mean I had a different experience going into this one because I had already by this point done GNC for I think 3 years by that point, and then 3DO was starting to get off the ground. We started this show during the second 3DO hiatus that we had to do um, for personal reasons, but I had been kind of used to the whole podcasting thing. Like I'd been interacting with all these people, and I'm not the biggest outside of podcasting. I'm not the biggest talker there is. I'm a very quiet person generally.
Same.
Um, like me and Matt. That's why it took me and Matt forever to actually interact back at our old job because we just didn't talk ever.
Mhm.
Like we started talking at a Christmas party where we were both wasted, but that's besides the point.
If we hadn't
Uh,
gone wasted, we probably wouldn't have.
yeah, honestly, it's kind of funny how that works out. But yeah, I think as we've grown though, it's interesting because I think we started our first episode was like the perfect place to start because that was just such a natural thing, like topic for us.
Mhm.
But I mean, even this kind of goes back, like you can tell even from the pilot episodes we've been posting recently, like the scrapped first attempt at this show. If you listen to those compared to say the first couple episodes of Geek Addicts proper, you can see there was definitely a growth. Like we had really kind of figured things out a bit more,
Mhm.
and we've only gotten a bit better. I like the fact that we've it's gotten us to really try a lot of things that I don't think either of us would have tried normally. Like, say we recommend a live action film I've never seen before, or something like that, or I recommend like a game or an anime or something that you've never seen before. It's like it's getting us to like kind of branch out a bit. Like
Mhm.
some of my favorite episodes we've done are like the your first time with Chrono Trigger, or like your first time with Persona 4, just like going over kind of that experience, and me, someone who has vivid memories with one of those games in particular. It was fun getting a different perspective.
Mhm.
Or like say the Pokemon Adventures series where we went through the first the quote unquote first era of the Pokemon manga. Me being a first time reader and Matt having already read it in the past, that was to me a very fun experience, even though we we had the worst luck with the internet during that era. But
Yeah. Also,
yes,
the crazy disjointed episode we did on Bakano a couple weeks ago.
yeah, I mean that was an interesting one, just in the sense that it was something that it's a disjointed product to begin with, and it was something that I'd never seen before. So it was kind of an interesting way of handling that one.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think we've grown a good amount. We've definitely found our footing. We're still growing as a show. I know starting out on the in the GNC feed and then switching to this dedicated feed hurt our numbers a little bit, but I think over time we'll start getting more. It's just going to take some time. I think next year I definitely want to have try to get more guests on over time for certain episodes.
Definitely.
So
At this point, we've had my wife on, and that's been about it.
yeah, I mean we'll get
Although
Thrak on at some point.
the episodes we had her on for, though, I did really enjoy, like the Star Trek one.
Hmm.
I would definitely like to do more of those in
Yeah,
the future, and we get Thrak on for those.
yeah, no, we'll definitely have Thrak on. I know we'll have Aaron on for like when you eventually play Final Fantasy 9. We're gonna definitely have Aaron on for that because Aaron loves 9.
We could probably
Um,
have both of them on for Dragon Quest whenever we get around to doing one of those.
maybe. I'd love to talk 4. I'm sure Aaron would love to talk 5 because I know Aaron loves 5. But yeah, I mean, we'll try to get more network guys on in the future. I'm sure we'll get Alex. We'll get Alex on if I ever watch the One Piece live action at some point.
I highly recommend it. It's very good.
I've heard it's just one of those things where I have to just sit down and force myself to watch it.
Yeah. Well, I did recently discover that there are a lot more live action anime adaptations on Netflix than I thought. So we'll have to try and revive that series a little bit because it's been a while.
Hmm. And then he asked a second question: what's been the most gratifying aspect of doing the podcast for a year? Um, I think you should answer this one first because it's probably more. I think your answer will be probably better than mine, just because I've technically been doing podcasts now for like almost 5 years. But
Yeah. Um, actually getting it done is the easy answer. As I've mentioned, even going all the way back to the pilot episodes or the Dragon Ball superhero episode we did on GNC a while back. Um, Even going all the way back to the Fight Club, like I've wanted to start my own for a long time, and just getting it going was the hardest part of it. Because at first I wanted to do a show with my wife, and then just life gets in the way. It's I ironically it's a lot easier to do it with you a state away than it is to do with my wife who I live with.
yeah,
At least on a weekly basis. So actually, like I found that actually getting started is the hardest part. Once you actually get it going, it's a lot easier to keep up with. Um, and I'm sure having some of the built-in listeners from GNC helped with that. Because knowing that at least somebody's listening, kind of makes me feel a little bit more motivated to keep up. Um,
yeah,
but I mean, it's yeah, just basically actually getting it started. I love being able to talk about the things that I enjoy in a more long form. Um, but like kind of doing it in the casual way we do, like in the way that we would just kind of have a conversation sitting at a bar stool.
yeah.
I definitely enjoy that a lot.
Hmm. Honestly, like for me, I think the most gratifying thing is the fact that we've made it a year completely seamlessly. Like I think because we were proactive and very diligent with how we started it. We made sure we had enough episodes recorded before we officially started releasing them.
Mhm.
And we've been very good about keeping episodes in the queue, that we've never missed a week. I can't say that about either of my other shows. Technically, GNC, we've never missed a week either, but we did miss a Saturday because of a computer issue. And
Mhm.
one episode was released on a Wednesday, that was way back in like season 1. But
Yeah.
Geek Addicts, we've never missed a week. I mean, 3DO's missed weeks before.
This missed months.
Yeah, it missed a year with its
Um,
first.
yeah, definitely keeping it on a consistent schedule that makes me. I'm not somebody who likes to be late, so
Yeah,
keeping it going consistently week to week. Especially since when we started this, we didn't even know if we were going to be weekly. We were originally going to be bi-weekly.
yeah, and then we we just said one day, fuck it, weekly, see what happens.
Mhm.
I think the
So
first episode went so well, especially because the pilots, as fun as they were a little disjointed. Like we weren't really sure where we wanted to go with
yeah.
those. I mean, we still haven't. There's still 2 of them that have to be released, so you'll see those in the future. But the first episode we did, the Dragon Ball retrospective. I mean, that just we went almost 4 hours with that one, and
Mhm.
it gave me, once we did that, I was kind of like, yeah, this will work. I think we'll be
And
able to keep this going.
I'm pretty sure we shot the shit for like an hour, hour and a half after that too. So
I think a couple hours after that, honestly.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
God, I
and
wish
it's
we had the
honestly at a
video.
point now. Yeah, I know. And it's honestly at a point now where we've done so many Dragon Ball episodes, and there's many more to come. I can promise you that.
Yeah, honestly, it's funny because like for a podcast that doesn't really have for a pop culture podcast that doesn't have a central theme, we've really been good about really kind of jumping all over the place, the spectrum of nerd culture, that's
Mhm.
honestly been the most gratifying thing, is the fact that we haven't really fallen into a specific niche.
Mhm. I would
Because
like to cover some more like nerd stuff, so to speak,
oh yeah,
like American comic book stuff
hmm,
at some point. Like
I
with some movies or something.
yeah, like I'd like to cover some of like the DC animated films, some of the Marvel. We'll have to do a Marvel Cinematic Universe like talk at some point.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I guess that's the best way to answer. Like, yeah, because I really got nothing else to add there. It's been the fact that we've made it a year consistently and we've stuck to what we planned. That to me is probably the most gratifying overall.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and that ends the Geek Addict. I don't, not the Geek Addict, the GNC server portion of the questions. A big thank you to Snickerman, Rick, and Bill from A Gamer Looks at 40. Alex, we'll get to you. Don't worry. Um, so now, before we jump over to the SuperPod network, I wanted to. Cindy gave gave me quite the question.
Oh, geez.
Um, so um, I haven't read this yet, so this is going to be interesting. Oh my, it's a wall of text.
Oh, Jesus.
A million. Okay, so she asked $1 million, but everything you masturbate, you sing very loudly. I've been working on the railroad. By the way, the true version, story version, Noon got money. It was for free.
Wait, what?
That's what she asked. Uh,
Well, I think she was doing. I don't know if you ever watched the $1 Million But series that Rooster Teeth was doing for a while, where they create a scenario where
I haven't, so that might be why I'm a little confused.
they create a scenario where you say you get $1 million, but there's some sort of stipulation attached,
Okay.
and it could be like anything, like even something that like is uncontrollable like reflex kind of thing. Um, so every time you masturbate, you sing "I've been working on the railroad." That was essentially it. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
do it.
I mean,
I'd do it. 100%.
I live alone. Who am I going to bother? um,
Yeah, but isn't it? Does you live in a condo? How thin are the walls?
my neighbors never complained about anything. So, I mean, my
Wait, do you
neighbor's house.
loudly masturbate often?
No. um, my neighbor's house is behind this wall, and I mean, I'm pretty loud when I podcast. So, and she's never complained. So,
That's
I
fair.
think I think I'll be all right. Um,
That's fair.
so she apparently said this is based on a true story, and she'll tell the full story when she's on next time as a guest.
All right, so
Um,
we're gonna have to tab that for later because I don't think I know this story.
I I'm a little confused, but I'm looking forward to figuring this out. She ended it by saying, "I think smut is breaking my brain." Um,
Oh yeah, because our mutual friend has gotten her into reading smut.
oh,
So
fun.
that's kind of been like a running joke. I make fun of her for it, as a good husband will.
I'll let her know it's in the show.
I feel like the last episode, she kind of broke you with the Osama loves war comment.
Yeah,
And now you're just like, I feel like every time she's involved in a podcast, she's just gonna break you in some way, shape, or form.
I just I'm like at the point where I'm just like, huh, I've never thought of this. um, yeah, I for a million, I'd do that. I don't care.
Yeah, I'd do that for fucking 10,000. Who are you kidding?
Let's fucking face it, everyone fucking does it no matter what they say. So let's it's not a secret. Um,
No shit.
thank you, Cindy. We'll get the full
Yes.
story on the next episode you guest on.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be a Star Trek episode that Thrak is also there for, so he could just be confused as fuck.
I'm actually curious how that meeting will go, but we'll see in the future.
God.
Um, that being said, let's move on to the Superpod network where we got a good amount of questions. So to start, Tommy said, "I'm in. I love asking cues," and then never left a question. Thank you, Tommy. I'll remember your show next time. I'm sorry. Um, so Matt, aka Stormageddon from the Fun and Games podcast, they asked, "What is the strangest topic idea you've ever had that you have yet to cover because you couldn't make it work or just want to cover in the future?" So that's an interesting one because I have honestly GNC. I have this problem more because most things we're pretty game for on this show.
Mhm.
I'd say so. I'd have to think about it. Do you have one off the top of your head?
Well, as far as not being able to make things work, um, I mean, a lot of it is like video game based because a lot of the video games that I'd like to that I think both of us would like to cover on the show, either I haven't played them or you haven't played them. And because both of our time constraints are so limited when it comes to, doing anything for fun, really, um, it's hard to make that kind of stuff work, which is why our video game content has been lower than I would have liked.
Mhm.
Especially considering we're part of a network of podcasters that generally revolves around video games.
True. Although
Um,
we've branched out quite a bit. Like we're trying to. It's nice to not be exclusively gaming.
yeah, for sure. Um, we've kind of already covered stuff we would like to do uh, for episodes in the future on a previous question, I believe, right?
Yeah. So what Matt was asking was he was kind of asking like, is there any like kind of strange topics or like stuff that I guess like stuff that we just haven't been able to figure out a way to do yet. Like I know the Stephen King stuff. That's the Stand movie in particular has been strictly a timing constraint. It's just I have not been able to make that one work. It'll happen at some
Mhm.
point, but that's kind of been held back. I know one thing I kind of was I've been tempted to do, but it's been just kind of something where it's like the timing also has not been great. Is I've been wanted to find like say like the worst like anime we could find on the Crunchyroll and watch it and do a review at some point.
That I'd be up for that. That sounds like fun.
It would. It's just one of those things where it's like I'm trying to like time it out and I just haven't had the time. Or like honestly, I
Mhm.
haven't been able to really find something that I would consider super bad that I wouldn't want to cover. Um,
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid like something overtly fan servicey or smutty because there is a few things I've seen that I'm like, oh, this could be fun, but not
Yeah.
sure. I know with
That's for
you,
sure.
it's hard. It would be hard to watch with like the kiddos running around,
Or at
um,
work.
or yeah, or work. Because there's a few animes that I think would be really funny, but I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be hard to watch. You'd have to watch this in private. Um,
Yeah.
other than that, though, like maybe like the biggest constraint with like games is just like a lot of games. Unfortunately, we're two big RPG fans, and RPGs take time.
Mhm. For sure.
Unfortunately,
And that's like kind of like the upside downside with RPGs is yeah, they take time, but they're also ones that you can generally you can kind of like play put down because of the style of combat. Whereas the shorter games require much more consistent, like I'm right there. My thumb's always moving on the controller, like I'm always doing something there, like with for instance, like Fable. You kind of
yeah,
always, you can't like just put the controller down and walk away, like, or where it's with something with like Persona, like you can do that because it's not like, you know, if you're too slow, you're gonna die. You could just put it down and everything will just stay still until you press a button. Um,
yeah. It's one of those things. Like I know, like we haven't really had a ton of topics that we just like we haven't been game for. Like I know the only thing that I just never I know I couldn't do is Lord of the Rings. It's just one of everyone has that one thing that they just can't get into. Like I'd said earlier, that's the one for me.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, I gue- I guess that's it. I'm trying to think because like we generally will try to make everything work. There's just a few things that like logistically we can't do at the moment.
And I feel like for the most part, we're pretty much on the same wavelength when it comes to interests.
Yeah,
Like, there are some things that either of us are kind of like meh on, like for you it's Lord of the Rings, and I'm not blanking right now for something on my end, um, but for
I
the
mean,
most part, I feel like we're pretty much aligned with what we are down for. So as far
yeah,
as like weird things that we haven't been able to make work, uh, I mean, working out guests and stuff is another thing.
unfortunately,
Like
guests. The thing with guests that's been tough is we record Friday nights, and Friday night is like the one time that's just tough on a lot of people.
mhm,
Like obviously we'd probably make exceptions and probably change our date if necessary.
yeah,
It's just right we haven't really crossed that bridge yet. Um
yeah.
that being said, other than that, like I think we're in full intention of trying to make everything work. It's just kind of one of those things where we'll really have to think about. It's weird because like when he says when they say a strangest topic, um I'm trying to think because like we really haven't. There's nothing that we really haven't been game for that's really bizarre. Um,
I mean, I guess it depends on your definition of strange. I mean, the girl from the other side episode we did. I don't know if I would call that strange necessarily, but that one I think we had a different expectation on when we went to go do it, and then once we were there, we were like, I don't really know what to say about this, you know?
I mean, at some point, I'd like to branch out into like different things, like maybe like cover some like sitcoms or something, or like or some other like non like go even farther into the broad pop culture spectrum.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Because I'm
I
trying to
actually,
think.
I had an idea a while back. I don't know if I ever ran it by you, but I had a thought to do something like with how many um like reboots and sequels and stuff we've gotten to a bunch of classic sitcoms and stuff like that, I was thinking it might be fun to like watch the pilot for the original, then watch the pilot for the reboot and kind of compare. But
Hmm.
that was just the thought I had a while back. I don't know if I ever brought it up to you or not.
I don't think so, but that actually could be an interesting topic. We'll have to save that for the books and come to it later.
Hmm.
I mean, I'd love to cover some like just downright trash TV at some point, like just some stuff that's just bad, but it'd be funny to cover.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Um, but yeah, thanks. Shout out to Matt for doing that. I'd love to get Matt on. They're a really cool person. Like they've done like a whole bunch of stuff. Like I've been on Fun and Games in the past, and it's a great time overall. I'd like to get them on
Hmm.
the show at some point. But moving on now to our next question we got on the network. Aaron, the boss man himself, asked if you could ever have any celebrity voice actor, YouTuber, etc., as a guest on Geek Addicts, who would it be?
So are we just picking one person, or do we want to kind of like spread it out and say like, oh, this actor, this podcaster, this YouTuber?
We can probably give a few.
All right.
Um,
Um,
he
one
didn't say, yeah,
YouTuber
he
I'd
didn't say
like.
one, so
Yeah. Well, one YouTuber I would definitely I would find really interesting to have on is totally not Mark,
hmm,
because I like actually before, because you were little peek behind the scenes. Bill was a little bit late to the recording today because he was recording a GNC episode right before. So I was actually watching one of Totally Not Mark's Berserk review videos, because he
oh
does like
nice.
blind manga reviews and stuff like that. Actually, I think he started as a Dragon Ball YouTuber and then he shifted into doing blind manga reviews, um, which is part of the reason why I wanted to start doing manga stuff on this show, is because I enjoyed that content so much.
Hmm,
Um, but I'd love to have a conversation with him about the different shows and how like getting into all these classic shows at such a later date, like past the point where they came out, um, like how that experience has been and such.
nice. Um, for me, for a YouTuber, the ones that come to mind that I'd like to like just sit down and have a chat with are like I think Nitro Rad would be pretty cool. Like he's one of the better like modern like gaming YouTubers like reviewers out there.
Hmm.
Um, I'd like to talk to Johnny Millennium from Happy Console Gamer, just because he is like one of like the he's one of like the old school like gaming YouTubers. Like he's been doing it forever, and
Hmm.
he's like a really old gamer. So like he has like stories like from like way back in the day, and he just seems like a guy that you can just sit down and just like have a conversation about like life and stuff with.
Hmm.
He'd be cool. Um, that's about it for YouTubers. Like I probably would like to sit down and maybe Scott the Waz just because he's I find him interesting. I'd like to know how he keeps up the entertainment, how he's been able to stay consistent all these years.
Hmm. I wouldn't mind Masako X. That would be fun.
Hmm. Could
Be fun
ask,
to talk
could
what
ask,
ifs with him.
yeah, we could find out why he likes Raditz so much.
I mean, I understand the fascination. It was such a missed opportunity.
True. I mean, I just laughed because that got so much bigger than it had any right to.
For real. Um, for
Um,
voice actor, no, fuck it. I'd say Brian Massey, just to have that beautiful voice on here. I get him to sing a song for us.
Brian Massey would be cool. I'd like to talk to Richard Ian Cox, um, mostly so I could ask him about the supposed ocean dub of Kai, just because I want to know if that actually exists or not.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Then he's
Um,
Inuyasha. I mean,
that's a double whammy right there.
you know
Um,
what? This is a little off topic, but Josh from Still Loading had David K on his show.
oh
Fucking
yeah,
phenomenal interview. Like big shout out. I highly recommend checking out that episode. But he got to talk to Shishomer, and I'm always like, it's just crazy how he pulls that stuff off. But
that's awesome.
that was a really cool video. But yeah, like Richard Dean Cox would be a good one.
Chuck Huber would be fun too.
Other than we'd avoid the flat Earth stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like that would just make it more fun.
I'd like to talk. I'd like to just like I I find him fascinating just because of the fact that like he really only has like two voices he does, but he somehow makes it work for like all his roles he's in.
Yeah, like even though like his voice is a very like I don't know, he finds a way to make him distinct, even though it's really not a whole lot of variation.
Because I mean, like Hiei and 17 are basically the same voice, but they're very different deliveries.
You can kind of tell by the tone, you know.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, 17 is very monotone. Hiei is much more animated.
he's got kind of like that scoff to
Yeah,
his voice, you know. He's like, ugh, humans.
Hiei has more of a personality. 17 at the start is very monotone because he's an android,
Mhm.
cyborg, whatever the fuck they are. Even in like Super, he's still pretty like calm.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, Huber would be cool. I mean, I'd like to just have a chat with Chris Sadat. That'd be kind of cool.
yeah,
Just for all the shit he does, like behind the scenes.
yeah. It's pretty wild, and not the and in front of the mic too, because he's on like just about
Oh yeah.
every show the Funimation has ever dubbed. He's been a part of in some way, shape, or form. Um, Justin Cook wouldn't be bad either.
Hmm. I'd say like any of like the longtime funny actors would be kind of cool.
Hmm. Um, yeah.
In
Outside of
terms of
that,
celebrities, eh, I don't really like celebrities very much. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I get.
I'd
Do you
probably go
count
for more like I'd probably go for like a comedian or something as opposed to like
com-
an actor.
comedian maybe, or maybe like an author? Like, and I'd like to meet some
Oh,
authors.
Stephen King would be awesome. I'd love to talk to Stephen King.
I'd like to talk to some like
Just talk
manga
about
artists or like or comic writers because they some of them have very interesting stories.
yeah.
Like
Well, if we have an interpreters on the table, then yeah,
sure.
some manga artists would be cool.
I mean a cool comic artist, well, comic writer I should say that I'd like to chat with is like Joshua Williamson. He writes a ton of stuff like over at DC. Like he wrote The Flash for years. He's writing Superman right now. Uh, I've listened to podcasts with him talking. He just seems like a really interesting guy who has like a lot of stories behind the scenes.
Mhm.
That'd be a cool one.
Nice.
Yeah, so thanks, Aaron, for the question. Um, yeah, we kind of gave multiple answers on that one. Um, so the next question is from Andre from Fine Time, another member of the network. He asked, "What is the worst anime you've ever seen?" This is tough because I think I'm too nice at times.
Um, for me, it's less a point of too nice, but more I'm too cautious about what I watch. Like I've been a little bit more brave about like, you know, trying new stuff lately, but I'm also watching even the stuff that I like generally wouldn't watch left to my own devices. I have you know people saying good things about them from people, you know, people I whose opinions I trust. So um like for instance, like you know, you talking about Kaguya-sama. I never would have watched Kaguya-sama on my own.
Hmm,
But you know, I trust your opinion when it comes to shows like that, so I gave it a shot and I ended up loving it. Same with Oshinoko, Spy Family. You know, um,
hmm.
so
Uh,
for me it's a matter of I'm overly cautious when it comes to anime because I know how much trash is out there.
I'm like trying to look through my anime tracking site to see what I have like lowest rated. Um, some of them though, like the okay, so the lowest rated thing I have on my tracking app right now is it's Sonic X. Um, that doesn't count though. Like that's trash. That's an enjoyable trash to watch.
Mhm.
Um, GT is also pretty low, but do I want to say GT? I don't think that's the
I feel like I've
worst.
definitely seen worse ones at GT.
I mean, I've never dropped a show before. I will say that. Um,
Not entirely, but I still haven't picked up Boruto from last year. I will eventually. I just haven't yet.
I don't even think Boruto's that bad though to be considered the worst. Like I
Um,
mean, I can't get through like more than an arc of Bleach, but that's not because I think it's bad. I just don't think it's not for me.
hmm. I'll say, mm, if we're talking like a series, I don't think this one is necessarily bad. It just doesn't make any sense to me because like the animation is gorgeous, the music is great, the action scenes are fun. Fully Cooley makes no fucking sense to me, and I rewatched it recently, and it just fucking I've watched it multiple times. And this is the first time I watched it in a while, and I still can't fucking wrap my head around it. I have no idea how the hell they made a second season. I still haven't watched it, but I don't understand how they could fucking get another season out of that.
True. Um,
There
I
was
guess
also there was also a movie that a friend of mine showed me years ago. I believe it was brought up on one of the pilot episodes. That I don't even know what the hell what that movie was called. It was some anime movie, and the whatever concept they were going with made no fucking sense. And at one point in the movie, a little rat man was like running across the street or something, and like the main guy like stopped him, and he just morphed into uh basically an Akira but made out of tits. And that was the point where I said, "Turn this garbage off, dude. I don't want to fucking watch this."
um
No offense if you're listening, but God, that was the. I have a pretty good tolerance for stuff like this, especially with anime. But like, God, like that was the line that got crossed. It's just like, nope, I'm all done. I don't even want to watch this.
that I feel like that will somehow I would be more uncomfortable than Akira is. Like the ending of Akira is the animation is beautiful, but it's a beautiful in that like this is the most fucked up, disgusting thing I've ever watched. Um, which says a lot because Akira is a phenomenal film, but that ending is oh my god. Um,
Mhm.
and you're saying it's that, but made of tits.
Yeah, it is.
Lovely. Don't even
Yeah,
know what I'd react to
I just
that.
I couldn't get past that. And I had just started dating Cindy at the time, and she was there, and I was like, "Dude, what the
Oh,
fuck?" Like,
lovely.
I was like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Um, I guess I mean I don't want to say Sonic X because that's too easy. Uh, Rurouni Kenshin Reflection was pretty bad. I will say
Mhm.
that was pretty bad, but is that the worst? Um,
I feel like that was just bad because you got to a point where you enjoyed the characters and the world itself
that's
to a
just
certain
bad.
degree, and then that just showed up.
It the problem with that is it's just bad storytelling. Like
Yeah.
it's just not a great. It's just it kind of it just kind of shits on everything that the rest of the show, especially like Trust and Betrayal before it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Other than that, I really haven't watched anything too bad. I mean, my standards are pretty. I'm pretty much okay with everything. Um, I mean, Final Fantasy Advent Children, not the complete version, but just the vanilla version is pretty awful.
Mhm.
Uh, Brawley's Second Coming, that's pretty bad.
That was just boring as fuck.
Yeah, at least Bio Brawl.
Some of the action scenes are okay, but it's just there's no substance to it.
Um, I guess if we're gonna, this is more just me grasping for something to say. If we want to talk manga, the worst thing I've ever read, probably Metamorphosis. If anyone knows what that is, I'm sorry. Um, it's a hentai, by the way, but I had
Oh
to know why
God.
it was. I had to know why it was so infamous, and yeah, yep, that sure was a thing.
Oh God.
Yeah. So anyone who knows what that is, I'm sorry. If you don't know what it is, don't look it up.
Or do
But,
whatever.
well, I mean, if you want to be, if you want to just get sad, I mean, because it's not even like it's porn, but it's not. It's fucking just depressing. That's all I'll say about it.
Hmm.
Um, thank you, Dre. Though that was a hard one because I really don't know.
Yeah, in general, I'm pretty easygoing when it comes to animes and stuff, but you know, some of them are pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me. It's hard because I just like I generally have enjoyed most animes I've watched, and I if it doesn't look interesting to me, I won't watch it.
Oh, the second season of Darker Than Black, because
True.
the first season is fucking phenomenal, and then the second season takes a complete tone shift. It just like becomes an entirely different show altogether, and kind of like ruins the characters. And it's been a long time since I've watched it. I would watch it again just to give it another chance because my perspective has changed on things. But based on memory, the second season kind of ruined the experience.
No, I get that. It's I'm trying to think like the everything for Rising of the Shield Hero after the first season to me just completely ruined that show for me. Like it's not even bad. It's just so mid and underwhelming compared to like the
Mhm.
first season, which is like really good. But yeah, thanks for the question, Dre. That one actually made us think a lot. And I
Yeah.
don't think and still don't think I had an answer. Um so the next question from Jeff over at the over on the Superpod Network. He asked, what would your last meal be?
Are we talking like Death Row last meal?
Um, I'd assume that's kind of what he was going for. I mean, last meal in general, like it's going to be your final meal. Um, for me, I'd probably say so. My hometown, there's a pizza joint called Cornerstones, and it's been there forever. If I had to choose, I'd probably say like my favorite pizza ever is from that restaurant. It is a barbecue chicken and jalapeno pizza. It is my favorite ever. And unfortunately, I don't think I'll ever have it the same way again as I did back in the day because that place has kind of gone down since I've moved away. But that was that's probably what I'd choose if I could have it exactly the way I remember it.
Hmm. Um, the easy answer is my mom's chicken parmesan because that was like my favorite meal growing up, and it's always a treat to have. Um, but considering this other thing doesn't technically exist anymore, Ernie's Pizza.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
forgot that closed.
Ernie's was a local restaurant in near where I live, and it had been around for a very long time. Actually, it was featured on Phantom Gourmet at one point. And they had fantastic bar pizza. It's my favorite pizza of all time. And they sold out to a CVS a few years ago. One of the original owners did open a exclusively takeout place, and they even had the same ovens and everything from Ernie's. And that is as close as you're ever gonna get, but it's not quite the same. So
I That's the worst thing about pizza to me is because pizza is it's very hard. Well, I mean, it's easy to screw up pizza, but pizza is one of those things that it's like it's so subjective that
mhm.
like what someone thinks is great, another person might think is the worst thing ever. And I've always said
Mhm.
like finding a pizza place that is like your main stop is really hard because like me and Alex have been still having this problem. Like Cornerstones was like our big that was the local pizza place. And since we live in Connecticut now, we've been trying to find a local place around here, and we found two places so far that may or may not be contenders, but it's still we still have not quite like I have yet to find a true replacement for that barbecue chicken and jalapeno pizza. It's
Mhm.
amazing how hard it is to find that combination anywhere else.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can always add a jalapeno to a barbecue chicken pizza. Most places have it,
True. A lot of
but
them don't give you the option, though. I've noticed.
that's bizarre.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know, just Ernie's food in general, honestly, not even just the pizza, because they just had great food. The buffalo chicken was great. They really good crab cakes. Honestly, their chicken parm, their like chicken parm sandwich that they had was really good. I like that a lot. The first time I ever tried swordfish was from there, and that was delicious. You know, they just had great food. It was actually my first real job was there too. I bust tables there. You know,
Oh wow.
so I don't know. That place has a special place in my heart, and it breaks my heart every time I pass that fucking CVS.
Yeah. It's funny because I always remember like because the parade used to go right by it, and like I remember we'd always like when I was in like Boy Scouts, we'd always meet up right at the Ernie's.
Mm,
What a time, like time capsule.
yeah, there's a lot of the old fucking local places got shut down, especially after COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. COVID did screw a lot of places.
Hmm.
Gee. So I'll preface I didn't read any of these questions beforehand. Um my good buddy Thrak, co-host over at 3DO,
I
he
did
asked
skim them.
yes, he asked, fuck Mary Kill, Alex, Matt, and him. Well, what a wonderful question when one of those persons is my sister.
And the other one's right in front of you.
Yeah. Well, sorry, Alex, but I guess I'm killing you because the other two aren't an option. Jesus Christ, Thrak. Uh, I mean,
Jesus.
what am I supposed to say?
It's like,
Do I
Jesus,
plead?
Thrak, just ask him out already. God.
Uh, I don't even know what to say on this.
Flip a coin, I guess. I don't know.
I guess I'll marry you and fuck him because I see you more often.
Fair enough.
Jesus Christ. I don't even know. Sorry, Alex. The other two weren't an option. I don't know what to say. That's my
On
co-host.
that note,
Thank you, Thrak. Appreciate it. Um, he did post that really nice picture. He wrote 3DO in the sand though, at the
yeah, that
beach
was
because
nice.
he's in Virginia Beach right now.
And Mo made a
Aaron's
Dark Tower reference.
he did, and Aaron still hasn't seen the ocean. One day he'll see the ocean. And
Someday. And
the
then he'll
final
kill all of his enemies.
yes,
To anyone who gets
uh,
that.
yeah. So the final question from on a Superpod is actually from a uh, recent new member of the Superpod network, Nomad from the Retro Wildlands. He asked, "What is something you learned in the last year that you wish you could have learned sooner? Can be about podcasting, something in your personal life, whatever." Um, hmm. This is actually a pretty good one because if I relate it strictly to podcasting, I kind of wish I started earlier
Yeah, I feel that.
because I didn't start podcasting till 2021. Kind of. I did technically I did a podcast back in 2013 with some people I went to high school with. I'd only made it 5 episodes and they're pretty awful, but that's besides the point. You can find it if you really want, but I wouldn't recommend it. Um,
Mhm.
that being said, I kind of wish I started like maybe like 2019 ish, or actually probably even earlier than that. Because, yeah, probably like when I was still in the worst point of night shift would have been fun. It would have been something to do because when I was still working nights at Richards, I was in a pretty not the best place mentally just because night shift does that to you after a while. So it would have been nice to at least have something to keep my mind off of it.
Mhm.
but I don't regret starting it when we did, because honestly, I don't know how I would have done a podcast during COVID. COVID was not a great time for me mentally either, in a lot
Mhm.
of ways, and it probably would have leaked into it. Um, I kind of wish I met the community, like I interacted with more of the community members earlier too, because like I don't think like I really like met most of the people in the bigger podcasting, our little niche community we have, until like 2022 ish. So like we had already done a season and a half of GNC at that point.
Mhm.
The only other thing I wish I could have learned sooner is that asking, just like reaching out and asking people like questions. Um, I could have done that way earlier and gotten a lot probably better advice than I had at the time.
Mhm.
Um, Personal life, I don't know if I'd change anything, because I'm always kind of a believer that things happen for the reasons they do.
I gotcha.
So
Um,
yeah, I'll think on if I have anything else if you want to go.
yeah. As far as general life goes, something that I've learned in the past year, and that the podcast has helped immensely with, is that when you're a parent, especially of small children, you have to make the time for yourself. You can't be a full time parent, no matter what anybody tells you. You can't be a full time parent all the time. You have to make some time for yourself. You got to set some time aside for your hobbies, your interests, your passions, so to speak. This podcast has helped immensely with that. It's pushed me to do more than I would have otherwise. It's given me something to look forward to every week, and that's
Hmm.
been huge. Um, yeah, that's kind of mostly it for like personal life. It's just one of those that you got to make time for that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Because if you don't, you start to go stir crazy.
Yeah,
Um, as far as podcasting goes, or like the general like community aspect of it, I'm still learning. I'm not super great with conversation with people I don't know very well. We That's one of the reasons why this podcast works as well as it does, is because you and I have a pre-existing relationship before either of us were podcasting.
hmm.
Um, uh, I don't have the best time making new friends. It's
Yeah,
somewhat difficult for me, and I'm still working on that. I'm making an effort to try and make more connections with people, especially in the immediate network. Uh, trying to, even just like when I was doing those occasional streams, which hopefully I'll be doing another one tomorrow. When Thrak popped on and we were just having a conversation for a few hours, just shooting the shit, you know, goofing around, whatever. Like that was cool. I like having that kind of, or the Fight Club. Like I love doing that. That was really fun.
hmm.
Um, but that's just something that's like a more of a me thing that I'm working on. I'm trying to get better with. I'm trying to be active in the community. Um, get to know people on a more personal level.
Yeah. Like I know for me, like when it came to podcasting, like especially like when we were first doing like when I first started doing like guest appearances, or like was having people on like for GNC in particular. That was a bit tough at times, because like it was hard to like gauge certain people that you just didn't know. Like I still, because I knew what they sounded like because I listened to their shows. Like I would listen to their shows in preparation because I didn't want to go in completely blind. But in some cases, like I know like sometimes it works out very well. Um like my first interaction with Josh was actually like the second episode of 3DO when it was still just me. He had hopped on. That was our first real talk, and we've been close friends ever since.
Hmm.
I still talk to like I say like Thrak. I met completely by happenstance. We just happened to we were talking about like music or something in like a different, completely unrelated server, and we kind of just went from there. Um, Stuff like that. Like it's really started like growing on. Like I met Aaron from Superpod. Like I met him on a random drunk stream that I just kind of jumped in on at the last minute, and we both happened to meet there.
Hmm.
Um, that was it's just interesting how it's definitely expanded my horizons in the sense that like I've met a ton of people I never would have met, like from all sorts of different ages and like places around the world. Like one of my favorite podcasts I've ever been on was when I was on a Good, the Bad, the Backlog, and I got to talk with Adam from over there, talking about Etrian Odyssey. I always remember that one because our scheduling was literally he was just waking up and I had just gotten home from working on a Saturday overtime, so we were both exhausted. But it was a
Hmm.
great time overall. Like just stuff like that. Like it, I wish that's what the reason why I wish I got into the podcasting sooner is because I wish I could have like grown and expanded all these relationships and like because like I still say like most of the friends I've made in the last couple of years have been online.
Hmm. For
Um,
sure. I think
yeah,
mainly from me as like an add-on to everything I was saying before, like the biggest thing I've learned and I'm still learning and working on is just basically just putting myself out there, kind of trying more to instigate interaction. Um, Part of it is because I'm not great at text interaction when it comes to people I don't know. A lot of times I misread certain things and I get in my head about stuff,
yeah.
typical social anxiety shit.
No, I get you there because like I wish like if the one thing I wish I could have learned sooner is that I have a good speaking repertoire with a lot of people when I'm podcasting. I kind of wish I'd
Mhm.
known that that's something I could use in real life in the day.
Mhm.
So it would have made my life a lot easier. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I feel that.
Um, no, but thanks, Nomad. That one was another one that was tough because I was really getting really introspective, like trying to think on stuff like
Yeah.
this. Um, so that was it for the Superpod network. Those were the only two real sources on Discord that I had. Um, so we saved the best for last. Help us. We have Alex's questions now. Alex gave us 14 questions.
Oh Jesus.
Are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be. How many of them have to do with water bottles?
I don't know yet. I haven't read a single one of these. I'm going in blind. Okay, so okay, reading the first one, some of these are they won't be that long. Alex's first question: do fish ever get thirsty?
No,
I don't think they drink the water they swim in. I don't think fish drink, to be honest.
not through their mouths at least.
Yeah. I'm gonna say no on that one. Jesus Christ.
Does
Oh,
Jinbei drink? They drink
I don't know.
sake, so there you go.
Yeah, okay.
Fishmen drink, but regular fish don't.
All right. Question number two. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Yes, it still makes a sound.
Yes, vibrations exist whether you're there or not.
Yeah. When that picture frame falls in your house, it still makes a sound. You're just not there to hear it.
Mhm.
Um, Three. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. What is that number? 42.
7.
Um,
I guess we'll have to wait to see if we were correct on that one.
yeah. Yeah. Why do we drive on She must have looked these up. I swear to God. Why do we drive on parkways and park on driveways? I don't fucking know.
Because the English language is weird.
Yeah, honestly.
Especially American English. American English is bizarre.
Okay, I am convinced these first five she just got out of a book or like some like text thing that she found online. Question number 5. What is the square root of 55 divided by the number of states multiplied by how many cars fit in a Walmart parking lot? Alex, I don't give a shit. I'm going to say 42 again because fuck that. That could mean fucking anything. I mean, what Walmart parking lot? Every Walmart parking lot is different. This is one of those questions that's designed to piss you off. I swear to God.
Yeah. It's probably what she's going for.
Probably. All right. Question number 6. This one I know is original because it pertains to me. Why do you have so many cans of baked beans in your house, Bill? I have 2 cans, and that's in case I lose power or there's an outage or something, and you never know. It's 2 cans. It's not that big a deal. I don't get
I was
why
gonna say if you have cans of beans in your house, they probably came from her.
No, I bought 2 cans just to have because you never know.
Yeah, because
She
you can
doesn't.
cook beans over a fire, man. You could fucking slice up some dogs, throw those bad boys in there.
You don't even have to cook them. Like some of them are already cooked, so it's like worst
Like
comes
I've
to
eaten a lot of
worst.
bachelor meals in my day, and beans are right up there with corned beef hash.
I've had nights where I've been wasted and just ate the beans out of the can because that was all there was. It happens.
Mm.
You move on. The next
I'd rather
morning's
eat a
going to be
can of
rough.
I'd rather eat a can of baked beans than fucking Chef Boyardee.
Yeah, honestly. The next morning's going to be rough, but I live alone, so it's not my problem. No one's not going to have any other issues.
Mm.
All right. Jesus Christ. This one it pertains to me as well. Did you see the neighborhood possum? I named them Martha, and Pooh was trying to make friends. Pooh is her cat, for anyone who doesn't know. Um, Apparently, there's a possum that runs through her yard. This is a new thing.
Okay. We get
Yeah.
deer in our yard.
I haven't seen deer, but I think it's because it's a little bit because of the condo complex. It's a bit too like spaced out. There's not a lot of places for them to go.
It's like
Um,
$3 go through our yard the other day. One of them was pretty big. Not like super big, but decent.
I don't see a ton of deer up in Connecticut or down in Connecticut. I guess I should say.
Hmm.
Um, okay, here's a question: Is it pronounced sherbet or sherbet?
I always say sherbet.
I've always said sherbet too, but for some reason this is a thing Alex gets really. She has to know. Um, it's sherbet. I'm not doing this weird sherbet shit. Um, okay, question number 11. Can I bring back the dad jokes on the podcast? Everyone loves them. No, they don't, Alex. She had way too much fun
Jesus.
writing these. Number 10. Why don't you like my facts, Bill? Accept my facts or I quit the pod. No, you're never gonna quit the podcast, Alex. This joke isn't funny. Um,
What facts? Oh, the water bottle facts.
yeah, I guess. Um,
Gotcha.
uh, Alex, you didn't ask Matt any questions. This is rude. Um,
I know. What am I?
which she just wanted to annoy me. Um, Number 11. Which podcast is your favorite to record? Do not lie, Bill. I know where you live. I already answered this earlier. I don't have a favorite. I like doing all 3 of them equally. I mean, I don't know what else I'm supposed to say there. I know she just wants me to like not say GNC, but I'm not gonna say that because
She's baiting you.
yeah, I don't even know what she's
Baiting you.
baiting, what she's trying to bait me to. Like, I don't know. Yeah, and I know where she lives. It's not a big deal.
Just troll her and say the music podcast that you haven't started yet.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, here it is. What is your favorite brand of water bottle?
I knew
Um,
that was coming.
I don't really drink bottled water. I prefer canned water, and I like Liquid Death.
See, the idea of water in a can is just so weird to me.
It's
No,
so
but I've
it's
never tried a liquid death, so I couldn't say one way or the other. I have this weird thing where even if it's not, I just associate canned water with sparkling water, and I fucking hate sparkling water. So
well, the majority of Liquid Death is sparkling, but you can just get straight up water as well.
fair.
It started as water, and they
Um,
just have a shit ton of sparkling versions.
my wife grew up in Maine, so Poland Spring. That's what we
Poland,
get in our house.
Poland Springs a good classic. See, we don't. Poland Springs is around here. I mean, it's everywhere around here, but it's also more expensive than say like the store brand most of the time. So I'm getting a pack of water. The store I go to is a chain called Geisler's. Their in store brand is called Crystal Geyser. I usually get that unless I'm making a Costco run. Then I'll get Alex's favorite Kirkland Signature.
I think I think Market Basket also sells the whatever the one you just said was
Crystal
Crystal
Geyser.
Geyser.
It
I'm pretty
might.
sure that's their like quote unquote store brand.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it's like a few because market baskets don't exist around here. We mostly have Big Y's and like Geisler's. Those are the what are around here on shop rights.
we do we have lately been getting the great value, like because they have like the bigger cases
Yeah,
and they're
that's
cheaper.
also the key because like Poland Springs is good water, but like you can get so much more in like the bulk brands. So
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is up with our tap water, but the tap water here is you can't drink it. It's
yeah,
bad.
I don't really trust the tap water in my house either to drink. I mean, I have a Brita filter to take care of that, but
I mean, yeah, if we had a Brita filter, I could deal with it, but I don't know. I'm also
uh,
not a water snob like my wife.
I mean, I don't know if I'd say I'm a water snob, but I do like my for some reason water out of a can is just nice. I don't know what
That's
it
fair.
is. It's kind of why I've been
Well, see,
into
what
liquid death.
because my wife grew up in Maine, like the like tap water, well water, like that kind of shit, like it's always like so fresh, like pretty much straight up the fucking mountain. So like she's very specific about the water she likes.
Hmm. I think I like the I think I like liquid death too, just because of like the aesthetic. Like it's got that like heavy metal like mid 2000s like alternative like look to it, which I've always been really into.
It looks like a
Uh,
can of beer.
it does. It looks like a Guinness from far away. If you have like the sparkling version, which is black, it looks like a
Mm.
Guinness from far away. Um,
You know, it's funny. I didn't even know it existed until you started talking about drinking it on GNC, and then I started seeing it everywhere
yeah, it
after
popped up.
after you started talking about it.
Yeah, you can get it in like all the stores now. I mean, I order
Mm.
it on Amazon because you can't find all the flavors anywhere else. But um, I discovered it through Steve-O's podcast, if anything, because he had it as a sponsor for a while.
Wow, of all things.
Yeah, I got curious. I saw it one day at the store and I was like, oh fuck it, I'll try it, and I haven't gone back.
Figures the water brand Steve-O would drink would be Liquid Death.
Yeah, I mean it is a cool brand too because they the cans are 100% recycled, so there's no waste.
That's good.
And they donate money to like plant trees and stuff. It's cool. I
Nice.
like the cut of their jib. And then the final question. This isn't even a question, Alex. It's just her screaming Atari Jaguar.
Never played one, so I couldn't say.
Yeah, when you come up to visit, we'll play some Jaguar just so you can experience it. I mean, I'm a
Fair enough.
defender of the Jaguar. I think it's a cool system. Like, it's not my favorite niche system. I mean, everyone knows what my favorite niche system is, but it's a cool one.
Hmm. I don't think I
I like
have
it.
a favorite niche system.
Yeah,
I
I
haven't
hate
really
to say it,
played
but
many.
collecting for niche systems is kind of expensive because you have to buy really niche stuff.
Hmm.
like collecting Jaguar games is not fun. I will say though, if you buy the Atari 50 collection, it has a bunch of Jaguar games on it, which is kind of cool.
Fair enough.
Um, yeah, me and Thrak actually have teased that we might do a spin-off series where we talk Jaguar games at some point because that would be kind of funny.
Hmm.
Because the Jaguar is equally as fascinating of a system to talk about as the 3DO is.
Gotcha.
But actually, the episode will be out by the time this comes out. But we had on GNC, we just did an episode talking about failed consoles, and one of Alex's sticking points throughout the entire episode was the fact that the Jaguar didn't sell particularly well. Like it only sold like 150,000 consoles, which is not a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty small.
Like, keep in mind, like the 3DO, which is also a failure, sold around an estimated 2 million. So
Yeah, that's wild.
yeah, but one of the best moments was like I had brought up the Sega 32X, which sold like around like I think like 600,000, which isn't great either, but it's still better than the Jaguar. And Alex was like,
Hmm.
she was being herself and defending the Jaguar, and I was trying to talk about the 32X, and when I mentioned it, I was talking about it, she's like, oh yeah, well, did it sell better than the Jaguar? And I was like, yes, Alex, it sold better than the Jaguar. And she was like, fuck. Like she did not think that through.
Jesus.
Uh, a lot of systems sold better than the Jaguar. The Jaguar did not sell very well at all, which is kind of sad. Because I do think the Jaguar is a interesting system.
Hmm.
But that was from Alex. Thank you, Alex, for those. Some of those weren't even questions, but I appreciate. She's going to skip just to this part, just to hear us react to that. So thanks, Alex.
Hmm.
And that wraps it up for questions. That was we got a lot, surprisingly.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of that time was just me rambling, though.
I mean, we rambled a lot on. Ironically, like some of the simpler questions, we rambled up quite a bit. Like Dre's question about like worst anime took us way longer than it should have. Rick's question took a lot too. Rick's question had a lot of introspection to think about. Same with Bill's
Mhm.
from a gamer's look at 40.
Yeah.
There's a lot to think about. Even Nomad's question was pretty a lot. There's a lot to think about there.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's fun.
Um,
I like doing this.
yeah. I mean, maybe when we get to 2 years, we'll do another one. It all depends on how the next year goes. We'll see. But no, it was fun. It's been fun doing this. I mean, we're still doing it. I mean, we wouldn't be doing it if we weren't having fun. That's all I'll say. That's kind of my thought
Exactly.
process on all three of my podcasts right now. And yeah, no, it's been a fun year. I'm looking forward to doing more stuff, breaking more barriers, and like meeting more awesome people in this community.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, that being said, though, it has been 2 hours. Damn, this is our longest episode in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since we hit the 2 hour mark. Yeah.
Yeah, doing a Q&A. I'm surprised. Well, I mean, admittedly, the first half an hour we were just riffing, but yeah. So, anyways, guys, once again, thank you for joining us on Geek Addicts. You can find Geek Addicts on all the major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And be sure to check us out over on the Superpod Network. That is superpodnetwork.com. You can find a whole bunch of awesome shows, videos, blogs. Where, like I said earlier, we're currently in the middle of our Spooktober, where we're all doing a bunch of different blogs on various horror games for the month of October. Be sure to check that out. We've so far seen stuff like I believe Mo did Doki Doki Literature Club. Adam did Five Nights at Freddy's. Aaron did Luigi's Mansion, and I did Ill Bleed. So it's an interesting collection of a whole bunch of different stuff right now. There's going to be much more throughout the rest of the month. So look forward to that. And be sure to check out all the other shows, including Superpod Saga, Super Ghost Radio, Retro Rehab, Tommy's Video Game Ride Along, A Novel Console, Bar Silence, Fine Time, the Elder Trolls Gaming Podcast, Remember 64, Gaming Together, Friday Night Gamecast, and of course our 3 shows over on GNC. We've got Gaming and Collecting, the 3DO Experience, and of course Geek Addicts. And the newest addition to the network, we have the Retro Wildlands. Be sure to check all of them out on the website. And with that, everybody, we will see you all later.
Have a good one.